And again, as Malcolm told us, of all our studies, history is best qualified to reward our research. And the reason why that is that if you dig far enough, you be sitting back looking at yourself. As our elders talk to us about us going to war with each other, fighting over each other, you live next door to them, live right in the next neighborhood, might be in the same family. The reason why I show this might seem confusing, but all I want you to see is this right here, Kwanzaa, 10th century, okay? 10th century AD. That was what it was. Then they broke apart, okay? And they became different federations. So you had the Ashanti right here, and you had the Fanti right here. That's all I really want y'all to pay attention to. They came from the same tribe, the same ethnic group, but they had their own respectable differences. And there was nothing wrong with that. We all have our respectable differences. I'm from Louisville, Kentucky, but I've been in Cincinnati for a while, so I don't say my auras and all that the same way that I did when I was back home. Okay, and so we all have our own respectable differences. You might look at me different if I was up here talking about burn over her, right? Okay, there's nothing wrong with that. It's different. So you have your space. I'm gonna have to talk to you talking about that right there. All right, so we keep moving. What we can learn from the colonial period of Ghana's history is that we talked about the Fanti. This is the Fanti right here. How many of y'all familiar with the term Asafo? You ever heard that? That is the term that is given for like the warriors, like the crew. You didn't want to mess with them. They was the hard rocks. They was the bad boys. They defended their land. They defended their territory. But this is the specific Fanti, Asafo. They had beef with the Ashanti. What I want you to learn with this quickly is that during the 17th and 19th century, where the Fanti had been basically invaded to a great degree by first the Portuguese and then the British. The Ashanti, that are a little up north from the Fanti, they were governed by the Dutch. The Dutch and the British manipulated this little petty beef that they had. And while they were being under severe oppression, being forced to even ship their own people into slavery. Okay, this was harsh oppression they were going through. They was killing the Europeans was killing them. They was dying from vast diseases and stuff. Okay, when Baba Kirk explained to us and telling us that we be looking at each other as the enemy. Nah, brother, you ain't my enemy. If you really look and see who your real enemy was, you wouldn't waste time on these petty differences that we have with each other. Right. And what happened is what history shows us, again, that if you look deep into your history, you'll be looking dead center at yourself. That our Fanti brothers and our Ashanti brothers went and engaged into 2 or 3 major wars with each other over petty differences in comparison to them being forced to ship their own children into slavery. Okay? And so history shows us that ain't too much change today. Because when the hospitals can murder us on a daily, got your grandparents and stuff in there, don't know what they doing to them. These jails and these prisons where these COs is abusing and raping our brothers and sisters. Okay? When these police is doing who knows and God what, and we do know. Okay? When the schools is molesting our children's minds and who know what else. These are serious tragedies that are going on every day in our communities. But as soon as a brother step on your shoes or he owe you a dime, it's wartime. You know what I'm saying? So ain't too much change. And so this is the importance of studying history. Is if you're able to see yourself, you don't make the same mistakes. Elmina right here, we had wait a second, check this out. We got all kind of video footage now. Alright. They built this fort. The Portuguese, first ones to come up in there. The Fanti. Remember I told you they on the coast. Portuguese came in there. They had been trading. They had been trading in those souls. They were trading in gold. They were trading in salt. They were trading in other things that were raw minerals as they still do today. And the Portuguese came to the Fonte and said, we want to build a fort. They said, why you want to build a fort for? We doing good. We trading. You don't need to build no fort. And so they was persistent, and the chief said, okay, all right, I'm second guessing it, but we're gonna let you do the fort, but you have these strict rules. The Portuguese broke all of the rules, and the Fonte kicked them out of there. Problem is right behind the Portuguese came the British. Another mistake. Trading one snake for another snake. Well, this snake's poisonous. I don't know about that snake, never had it before, but if it ain't poisonous, okay. And then it bites you to death. And us making the mistake of trading one snake for another snake. I'll leave it there. But y'all seen my wife going on y'all side the other day.
Thank you. If y'all could tell, she is a she-ru for me. And I say she-ru instead of she-ro because
that's right.
Heru is the real word for a hero. So she's a she-ru to me. This sister, that is a sister right there, Ya Asantewaa. She was 60 years old in 1900s when she led the battle. It was called the Ashanti War for Independence, or the War of the Golden Stool. She led that war by calling up front the brothers who was too scared to go against the British that he was talking about, the devils that came in and took over the Elmina castles. They were too scared to fight against them. They wanted to instead compromise. And the compromise at the time was to trade in the golden stool for the king who was kidnapped, Pepfred I. He was kidnapped and sent away in exile, and they wanted to trade in the golden stool or 50,000 pounds of gold. 50,000 ounces, I think it's ounces, of gold. Really? So this is basically wasn't going to happen. The Ashanti were not willing to trade, but they also weren't willing to fight until Ya Asantewaa called them to the floor and said, unless we fight, that is the only way that we will make them acknowledge that they cannot come in here and take our king and take our gold and take our land without a fight, without everybody that fought until the last one fell on the battlefield. It wasn't going to happen. And that's exactly what this sister did. Unfortunately, she was kidnapped and also taken into exile. In October of 1921, she passed away. And 37 years after that, we will talk about this. We actually got some pictures and footage for February the 2nd. But when she passed away 37 years later, Ghana got its independence on March 6th of 1957. And we got the opportunity to spend a time in Ghana on March 6th of 2010 to celebrate that. 2011 to celebrate that. So that's what this sister did. It's not always about the beefs that they have with each other. Some of those beefs still exist to this very day in Ghana. Those beefs, those separations. You'll go there, you'll hear about these people are violent, the people up north are violent, these people down here, they're kinder people. It happens. But look at what they accomplished through those conflicts. We can look past our conflicts, our issues, our disagreement, and we can accomplish great things like Ya Asantewaa did. She accomplished great things for coming together with her people and having that big dream of independence from colonial rule. And that's what happened. So that's what I'm going to say on that piece. We're going to move on to the next slide.
How many y'all familiar with any of these brothers? Oh, yeah. Y'all better be familiar with the one on the right. Anybody in the room unfamiliar? Huh? That's right. Y'all made my job a little easier. Again, we struggle for time, so I'm not gonna spend a lot of time on this. But what can we learn from Ghana's struggle to independence? I beg of you, research these giants. Okay? Another one I can put on there is C.L.R. James. But for sake of the room, I want you to understand. Okay, and all I really want you to understand this quickly is that these two brothers to the left and the right of him had a profound influence on Dr. Kwame Nkrumah to push him towards creating and establishing the independence of Ghana. Okay? And the number one thing, the two number things that they use, youth movement and modern technology. During this time period, a newspaper, a flyer, a magazine, these things were the equivalent of an iPod, Facebook, and whatever newfangled social media you can think of. Okay? They understood the importance and the power of that, and they utilized it to organize an effective movement. They use the youth, they use their young minds to create a movement that's sustained even to today, where not only do we have an independent Ghana that needs some work. We'll be talking about the neo-colonialists on February 2nd. But nevertheless, not only did they free Ghana, but they freed Africa, at least from colonial rule, at least the visible element. The history of the Pan-Africanist movement in Ghana, but the youth movements. Here we look at WASU, the West African Student Union. Now, we talk a lot about Garvey. How many of y'all familiar with Amy Ashwood? Okay. Now, this is a lesson right here. Next slide. After Amy Ashwood had divorced from Garvey, she didn't stop. She kept it moving. Amy Ashwood was a journalist all in her own right. Matter of fact, she's the founder of the Negro World. Okay, so she kept it moving. She still had relations with Pan-Africanists all over the world. And she kept it moving. She had a relationship with this brother right here, Ladipo Solanke, HC Banco Bright. This Banco Bright brother, he descended of us. Again, we didn't just sit nowhere. Wherever we at, whether we here, whether we're there, we have the power. We are the greatest. We can create anything that we need to sustain ourselves. We don't need nobody else. But they created the WASU organization, and they created it not only just as an organization where you could be part of it as a student in college all over the world, but they had an economic component. When we talk about Ujima, okay, they saw the need during when you were going through desegregation, okay? When you were segregated, all right, and where they would impede on you being able to do what you wanted to do based on your race. They saw the need to create their own hotels. Okay, y'all see that? What's that say? That say, hello, what's up? This is the 1940s. We were saying that then. So here you see the use of media, flyers, but you also see us speaking in our language. Okay, that is important. That's right. That's right. Define yourself for yourself. Alright? So again, this youth. And when we say youth, we're not only just talking about age, we're talking about energy. We're talking about the symbol of undying energy. When you get tired playing and you just sat there for a second, you forgot that you was tired, and you get up going even harder. That is what we need in this movement. We don't need nobody getting tired, burnt out, quit. Yeah, quit. You just, okay, I did my thing, I'm done. No, we need collective work and responsibility.